Hi everyone, Mark here from Digital Groove Online and welcome back to this week's video where I'm going to take you through an official remix that I'm making for Brisbeat Records. I did start it a while ago on the channel. It sounds nothing like that now, and I've just taken it up a notch and sort of fit it into the style that I love, which is this Anjuna Deep style. And in particular, I've worked on this and made it quite classic Yotto sounding with the brass sort of horns and bass throughout the track as well. It's quite deep, melodic, and I'm quite happy with how it's turned out so far. So I'm going to give you a quick playthrough, and then what we'll do after that is we'll just go through each of the channels and what sort of sounds and how I made the decisions and what sounds to put into the track. But here's a sample of the track and we'll take it from there. So there we go, a short sample of the track, and now we're going to dive into it and go through each individual track that makes it up. So the original track itself that I was the remix, there's only one element that I sort of kept and based the whole track around, which was a little pluck sound that plays in the background. It was a progressive track, and it had like a bell type sort of plucky rhythm. So what I've done was taken that in, and I had it was actually just, if I just zero that off a second and solo it, it was just these notes here. So it was just those notes there, and I added in a bit of a couple of extra notes just to make it a little bit more deeper. And that was really the main theme of the track that I've built this round. I've also layered it up with another serum just below here, but just to talk about that first one, that sound was in Vital. Vital's quite like Serum. It's a free plugin. Well, it was free whenever I had signed up for it. I do believe it is still free though. You can create an account, and it's a really good synthesizer. And it's this preset that I've used here, which creates the nice plucks. So yeah, we used that as the sort of the main element, and then layered it just underneath that with a serum. And inside that serum, I've used a basic waves preset as well. I do design some sounds, but I use a lot of presets and tweak them as well. And whenever we layer those two up, the main theme of the track then became this. And then it's just sort of automation and opening and closing of the filters. So yeah, I quite like that. And the serum itself has a like a little stringy sound in the background as well, which is quite cool. I'm just looking for, there was a little sort of plucky synth that I brought in as an audio file that seemed to work with the rest of the track, and it sort of helped that main theme come alive. I think it may be this one here. I'm just going to solo that out, which is this synth pluck loop. Yeah, that's the one. So everything sort of got built around these elements. Just sort of holds that note. Nothing too weird processing wise with that. It is just low cut, just with that resonant peak is I've just taken it down a little bit. So just underneath the vitals, then after I done the sort of plucky work, I wanted to see how that bass would sound. I've used Loop Cloud Play. So there's 3 in there, I believe. We'll just play them all in a second, and we'll start off one at a time. So Loop Cloud Play is it's a plugin that comes with Loop Cloud itself if you have a subscription to it. And there was a nice Colorize style progressive house sort of bank in there that you could buy. There was only a couple of sounds in it. There wasn't an awful lot, but this bass was absolutely brilliant, and I just had to bring it in and use it. So let's have a listen to it here and see. So it's obviously just at the bottom here. Sorry, this is the party type sound that you were hearing over the top of the serums as well. You can hear those strings sort of sitting higher over the top of it. The bass sounds are actually below it. Sorry, it's this one here and this one. You think I would learn and start naming things. I just get excited and move on. So this is the first bass here, the brassy sort of bass that you can hear. And the MIDI file itself looks a little like this. Let me just bring that up a bit and zoom that down. It has a sub layer to it, but I've EQ'd it out and used my own. So again, I've sort of taken sort of the sub layer out there, and I've used Shaperbox just to duck that out of the way. And that is also inside the Colorize pack as well. What that sounds like without it. But I thought the sub sound in it was, you know, a little bit resonancy, very resonant for me. So rather than try and work out inside the little romper or whatever it is, trying to figure out where to fix that, I jumped into Serum then and found a lovely deep bass sound. And you know, I just layered the two of them together. So this is the bass sound. I've just used the LFO tool with that. Okay, and then when you put the two of those together, then you've got the very brassy, aggressive style bass at the top and the sub bass at the bottom. And I'll just play it with the lower sort of pluck. So there we go on that as well. So the bass and those little plucks sort of make up a lot of the body of the track so far. Other sounds that you hear along the way there is this little lead, synth lead here, and it was made by Vital again, and it's called the Jonas lead. And what I've just done is a little sort of melodic rhythm with a low pass, And then I've just used a bit of overdrive on it, and the gain utility there is just, you know, bringing the level up just as it comes to the breakdown, but together, you know, it's like this. You can hear it coming in low there. There's actually changes happening that shouldn't be happening. Anyway, we'll move on to the percussion group itself. And the percussion group does include the little pluck that you heard there, the little pluck lead. So I'm going to just turn that off for now. And we're going to loop this section here. Turn them off one by one. So the shaker hat, I just loaded a lot of shakers from one of my sample packs in and picked my favourite one. No real processing going on there. The next one was the pluck. Just sits on top of that. This was one that I used Shaper Box with and created a weirder rhythm and just bounced it down the audio again. And then we've just got a standard drum and clap. So playing these all together then. The kick drum is just from a sample pack. No processing or anything weird on it. Just sounds good in the mix. We have an atmospheric drone in the background as well. There's this little atmospheric drone in the background here that just sort of plays the whole way through the track. Along with this. Which sort of fills out that back end or the top end a little bit more, and the sort of side areas, the spaciousness of it all. There's this little pluck in the background here, just doing chords, and over time, just coming up to the breakdown, starts to show its face just before the actual breakdown happens. So there's a little bit of velocity on there, which I have tied to the levels of each oscillator, so you do get that little bit of fluctuation. I like to have that in some of the sounds, and if you don't do that, then you don't get that velocity sensitivity really on Serum. So if we start further back here, you can hear it's quite low. Starting to come up now a little bit louder. And gets louder towards the end. Just automated that using the filter on Serum. Other little atmospheres that we added in the track as well are these little shots here, and then they just sort of fade out over time, and then after 8 bars they play again. Just below that we have a running hat. There's a little bit of fluctuation on it. But the vocals are quite cool, so they're being sent to huge return channels. If I just click this, you can see that it's taking phrases or little pockets of those words and delaying them over time. The same thing here, which are sort of bouncing off each other. So if I play the two of these together, maybe play it with the melody so you can hear it. Then we have the higher one here. And then the second time this plays, it's actually an octave lower than this first one. We have another little vocal sample down here. Okay, one of the other sounds, these are sort of atmospheric sounds here. I'll just hold this down here, let you see this one. And that is on Serum. So one of them has a lot of pan on it and the other one is just normal. So playing that together with some of these other sounds, the atmospheric sounds. And let's see what else we have there. Maybe those top ones. Yeah. Okay, so here we go. Maybe play the little vocal shots with it too. So the atmospheres make up a lot of this track. There's not an awful lot of sounds in it. It's just how those sounds are used throughout the project. Lots of atmosphere, lots of delays being sent to longer delays or filter delays. Some shimmer on the return channels, long delays as well. So a couple of different return channels set up there that create that atmosphere and space within the track, the haunting sort of sound. If I was to turn those all off, it would sound, pretty bare. And then the other elements can be quite simple and they can just work, another 4 or 5 elements in there with a lot of atmospheric stuff going on. The track can still sound full and interesting. I think I've covered all the elements inside the track so far, and it wasn't to be a hugely long video this week, but more of a breakdown on how, I interpret the old Yotto style sound and how I incorporated it into the remix of this track. I'll maybe put a full version up whenever it's finished and go through it. There's a bit of work to do in the breakdown here with regards to new melodics. Okay, so there we go. I'm going to play it through one more time, and I've just hit 2,500 subscribers on YouTube, so I just want to thank each and every one of you that do tune in and watch. And some of you do watch every week. I get emails through in the inbox, and I've actually had a few clients off the back of it as well. And if you are looking at taking your music production a little bit further, there's something that you're stuck on, or you just want to bounce off someone, hit me up on the website digitalgrooveonline.com. There are lots of services that I do from mixing, mastering, and one-to-one. So yeah, check that out. So I'll leave you with this here, and I'll see you again next week.